Hey everyone, welcome back to My Unprofessional Opinion Podcast. I'm your host, Angela. So for today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that's very prevalent in today's day and age, and that's your true beauty. And I think that society has a very different standard of beauty, especially for what you should have, because society says you're beautiful if you have the perfect hair, the perfect body, the perfect face, you know? And even when I was just preparing for this episode, I just did a quick search on the internet of what determines self-worth. And the answer that came up was your appearance. And then underneath it, it says, some people measure their self-worth by the numbers on a scale. Others determine their value by how much attention they can attract with their appearance. And I think it's really interesting that society says that you are worthy, you're beautiful if you have these certain qualities, physical attributes, you know what I mean? But I think it's also important to remember that even the most beautiful person today looks fade, people change, you don't always have a good hair day. So it can be pretty sad when you think of it that so many people put their value on their outward appearance. And going off of that, I think it's really important to remember that God is the one who determines our worth, our value, our true beauty. Because in God's eyes, we're already beautiful. You know, the world's going to be constantly changing with the trends and saying that, oh, this used to be the top seller, whatever you want to call it. But now this is. So it's always changing. So even if you're considered the most beautiful person today, that's probably not going to last because people change, their interests change, their opinions change. It's just like a roller coaster, up and down. It's not constant, but God has already made us so beautiful. We're made in his image. So I think that's really something that we should remember, because especially with social media, it's so easy to be like, oh, why didn't I get that many likes on this picture? I thought I was looking good, but I guess people don't think so. Or you're at the grocery store and in the little checkout aisle, there's magazines with all these supermodels and you're like, why can't I look like them? Why can't my hair look like that? Why can't my body look like that? Why can't my makeup be perfect like that? Why can't my natural skin be perfect like that? Because I think it's so important to remember that we're all made different. We're all unique. We're all made special. You know, it's just like snowflakes. No two are the same, because there's no one size fits all. And like I kind of touched on earlier, you shouldn't try to find your value, your true beauty from what the world says about you, because people's opinions change, and it can be so easy to be sitting watching a movie or a TV show and you're like, why can't I look like that? Why can't people treat me like they treat this person? But Psalm 139 verses 13 and 14 says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." So I think one of my biggest points that I'm trying to get across with this episode specifically is God really cares about our character and what's in our hearts. That's what true beauty is, because looks fade, like I said before. Because especially like looking at celebrities or people you might see on social media, it can be really easy to look at them and think their life is perfect. They're beautiful. They're charming. I just want to be like that. I want to have what they have. But really, everyone has their struggles. Everyone has their insecurities. And Proverbs 31:30 says, "Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised." So I think that really just sums it up. Charm is deceptive. Beauty is fleeting. God really just values our heart. He values our character and everything, not the outward appearance like the world sees. I think that it's really important to just remember that everyone has struggles, but everyone still is made so beautiful. Everyone is worthy because God sent his son Jesus to die on the cross for not just me, not just you, but everybody. Because John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whoever will believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life." So he didn't just die for me. He didn't just die for you. He died for everyone. He loves us all. We're all his children. He cares for us. He wants that relationship with us. And now kind of going and looking at a different path on the self-worth subheading, I think an interesting point is that us as people, we're never really satisfied with what we have, whether that's a material item, whether that's how we look, our friends, our relationships, our jobs. And like I mentioned before, I think it's so great that we have goals, we have dreams, we have desires that we want to keep growing and getting better and improving and stuff like that. But it's so important to remember that with what we have, we're pretty much never fully satisfied. We're always wanting what's next. We're always wanting the next big thing, whether that's a relationship or you just got a job and now you want to be promoted. You want to keep going up the ladder, which is good, but that just shows that we aren't satisfied with what we have. So whatever you're looking at, whether that is like a job or how you look, you're never really satisfied. You're like, oh, I can do better. I can do better. I can do better. And then even when you get it, it might not be really what you expect. It might be fun or it might be good for a little while, but then eventually you're going to get sick of it and you're going to be like, oh, I want the next thing. I want the next thing. Like this one time, me and my sister, we were pretty young. I'm not sure exactly how old we were, but this Littlest Pet Shop house thing, whatever, came out. And we're like, we want it. So we had to like earn money and whatever. But eventually we got it. And it was amazing. It was like a dream come true for a bit. But then it's like we eventually get bored of it and we're like, oh, we want the bigger one. We want like the mansion or whatever it might be. So yeah, so I think it's good to want what's next, but don't be selfish, don't be greedy, and don't be putting your value in it and saying like, oh, I'm better than you because I have blank. So much of the culture in the world views a person's value on how beautiful they are, how skinny they are, how gorgeous their smile or whatever it is. Like we were talking about earlier, it's just this world has really just made beauty, self-worth, all those things, really about the physical nature of someone. And to close this off, I just want you to all know how valuable each and every one of you are. You know, we all have our insecurities, our struggles, but I think it's really important to show gratitude to God for what He has given you. If self-worth or your value is something that you're struggling with, I think it's really important to take it to God and really just dig into the Bible and find out who He says you are, but also just examine what you're really focusing on, whether it's magazines, movies, celebrities, social media, whatever it is that what you're getting your definition of beauty, of value? All right, that's it for this episode of My Unprofessional Opinion Podcast. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I post every single Wednesday, so make sure you don't miss it. You can follow me on Instagram at MUO Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next week. Bye, folks.